What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Trades and Gains. I'm your host, Max Pitts, and markets are ripping, tech stocks are flying, and rate cut euphoria is back in full swing. But before you FOMO into the next green candle, let's break down what's really happening out there. Smash that like button, subscribe if you breathe options, and let's ride this macro wave with a little bit of flavor, though, because we're not boring or CNBC. So let's talk about what's going on. This week, the S&P 500 or the S&P is flirting with all-time highs. The NASDAQ is already moonwalking, and the Dow, even Grandpa's getting in on the action. The key drivers of all this, we had GDP revised down to minus 0.5%, paradoxically bullish. Now, why? In 2025, bad news equals good news. A weaker economy makes the Fed cut faster. It's simple math, folks. Jobless claims are up. Fed pivot fuel. Almost 2 million counting or continuing claims, and this is the highest since 2021. Powell cannot ignore that. Because if you remember last year, we got a rate cut literally to protect the labor market because jobless claims were out of control. Trump is signaling a new Fed chair. Translation, a rate cut friendly dove may be coming. Wall Street loves it. Cue the bid, folks. And finally, NVDA. Tech is still on a tear. NVIDIA, another day, another high. Bank of America is calling AI chips at $650 billion market by 2030. Loop Capital raised NVIDIA to a $250 target price. Are you seeing the pattern here? Is the sense making sense, or are we still lost? So while AI headlines grab attention, it's macro that's actually moving our money right now. So speaking of what's going on with our money, let's talk a little bit about some options flow and head over to Investor Central Club. So again, if you don't have Investor Central Club, we do have that promo code 130. Get your first month for only $30. But let's go ahead and dive into what the big money, the big boys are doing. And make sure you also tune in to our midday options flow and our options stream that we do every day. So first things first, we had Microsoft with 815, 505 calls, $17 million poured into these bad boys. Talk about some big money moves being made here. We also saw some SPY 475 puts, 9.15 million poured into those. We also saw NVIDIA December 19th, 205 calls, 2.9 million premium on that. PCG saw for August 15th, the $17 calls, 2.98 million. And QQQ with the September 19th, 565 puts, 7.6 million poured into those as well. So it looks like we are, or no, not QQQ. We're talking about those SPY puts, the 565s. So be on the lookout, because what's this all telling us? You got bulls loading up on tech upside, but massive SPY and QQQ positions are lurking under the surface. The smart money's hedging the party here. They're dancing, but they've got one foot near the exit. Now let's talk about some of our flow scanner as well. We saw SPY come in today as our winner chicken dinner here with 77 million in overall total flow, with 24 million in calls against 53 million in puts. Our most common contract here were the 580 puts due for August 15th. It looks like someone is hedging against our next rate cut decision. We had NVIDIA with 48 million coming in flow, with 38 million in calls against 9 million in puts. And we had the 150 calls that are due this week hit 9 times today, around roughly, let's call it $1.5 million in premiums that were spent here. So pretty interesting to keep watch of. We also had QQQ, 33 million in total flow, with 27 million in puts against 5 million in calls. So again, it's just showing that the big guys are not completely sold on this completely. Now, we only had 2 hits on the 540 calls here. That was the most common contract that we saw. Again, that made up $5 average. That's just our common contract, our common hit. We also had Microsoft come through with 20.74 million, 19 million in total calls. We had 3 big hits on the 495 calls due for July 3rd. So it looks like that Microsoft target price raising is playing into its favor, and we're going to keep an eye out on that as well. Now, some other notables within our flow scanner were Costco had 4.36 million in flow, with 4.36 million going completely into puts. Circle's also starting to get some bullish flow. We're seeing articles circulate talking about there may be cracks on the surface that are finally showing with Circle. Now, when we move over to our dark pool, this is where the big guys can come and spend their money without interrupting the ecosystem for people. So we had QQQ leading our dark pool leaders today with a $679.56 million print at the 543.65 level. But they weren't done there, because we also had 3 back-to-back prints for $224.99 million at the 541.04 level as well. We had SPY in the mix as well, 305 million at the 610 spot. We saw MicroStrategy even get in on the action with the $462.55 million print. So overall, we're seeing people rotate into tech and Bitcoin, and also our indexes. So watch out. These are levels that we want to keep aware of, because again, if we see prices fall below these levels, we can see some more blood. But let's switch gears back and talk about some more economic data. So we got rate cuts incoming, maybe. I'm not sure, but we'll have to see, because this is where things are getting wild. July rate cut odds are up 27%, which is up 12% from last week. And September odds are currently flirting with 92%. Now, markets are betting Powell gets sidelined. Whether it's pressure from the data or Trump's incoming Fed replacement, it's game over on, or it's game on for the doves. The 10-year Treasury yield dipped to 4.25%. Mortgage rates are now under 6.8%, and the dollar index is at its lowest since April of 2022. Lower yields plus a weaker dollar equals rocket fuel for stocks, especially the growth names that we're looking at. So it makes sense why we're seeing NVDA, Mister, all of these other companies get some dark pool flow today. We also have Friday's inflation report, which equals markets judgment day today or tomorrow. We'll be live for that, by the way. Everything hinges on one thing now, this PCE report. If core PCE drops, the markets are going to break out. The S&P clears 5,100 or 6,100 in this case, and risk-on flows explode. If inflation stays sticky, the whales will cash out and those SPY puts will hit. And tech might take a breather as well. Some bonus watch lists: tariffs. It's still in the shadows. If Trump unleashes Liberation Day trade war threats, things could turn ugly and fast. We also have the Trump Fed pick. The announcement is rumored before September, so watch the bond market if a name even leaks or there's a inkling of a bias or idea of who it could be. Now, here's the bottom line. This isn't just an AI rally anymore. The macro setup is finally flipping bullish, but it's fragile, so don't chase blindly. Watch the PCE report tomorrow. Don't worry, I'll be with you. We'll be on live. Join us on Twitch. Follow the flows using Investor Central Club. Use that code 130 so you can follow it in real time. And remember, the market loves to humble the heroes, and they love humble heroes. Anyways, poll for the comments. Is this a real breakout or just a trap before inflation hits? Like, comment, and drop your favorite ticker below. And if you're trading Friday's PCE, may the volatility be in your favor, my friends. I'll see you in the next one. I hope you all have a great night.